Back with more on the immigration debate. It's on both sides of the aisle. Next week, the House is planning to vote on a compromise immigration bill. Casting a ballot on the floor will be current Representative and former Governor Charlie Crist, who now represents Pinellas County. He joins us live in the studio this morning. Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Evan.
Thanks
Great
for
to be
coming
with
in.
you. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Before we get to immigration, the big story this week, obviously, first your thoughts on Pam Bondi being shouted out of that theater last night for her joining this lawsuit to end the key tenets of Obamacare. What are your thoughts on people not having pre-existing conditions, which is what might happen if that lawsuit is successful?
Well, that's a frightening prospect. You know, a lot of people have pre-existing conditions. It's one of the things that really brought about the attractiveness of Obamacare. Not a perfect bill, obviously, but certainly an improvement, because if you had a pre-existing condition, you wouldn't be able to get coverage at all. If this lawsuit, as you say, is successful, then that is stripped away. It's understandable. People would be very concerned about that. You know, whether it's attractive or appropriate to be shouting people down that way, it's not the most civil way to express yourself.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, too, because as an elected official, I mean, you may have encountered some of that before. Yeah. We saw Kirstjen Nielsen kicked out of a Mexican restaurant this week, or at least shooed out. You know, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was asked to leave from that restaurant in Virginia. Right. Is that appropriate?
It's challenging. It really is. And look, we have free speech in America. I understand that. But there's an appropriateness and a decorum, I think, that we ought to comport ourselves with and treat each other civilly. Do unto others, if you will. They call it the golden rule. It's a good way to be.
Yeah. Well, first, I want to ask you about immigration, obviously. Sure. We just had that piece, the explainer, on sort of how we got here. What is your reaction to that and what you saw this week?
Well, what we saw this week was very disappointing. You know, with the Trump administration separating children from their family members is just shocking. Number one, I don't understand that. It strikes me as inhumane, certainly not an appropriate American value. So I was sad to see that. Glad that he signed the reversal of it, but now the devil's in the details and how to untie this Gordian knot, if you will, and make sure that these children actually do get back with their parents is very important, and I think we need to do it quickly. And so I've introduced legislation to require that. It's the Reunification of Separated Families Act. I think it's important that we get these children back together as quickly as possible. If the administration is not able to do that, they will pay a civil fine for having done so and keeping these children separate. And the other thing, and I think maybe one of the most important components of this legislation, is banning this from ever happening again, so that you can't separate children from their parents while they're being handled in an immigration policy.
So the administration would face a fine, a civil fine, for not doing this quickly enough.
For not getting their children back to the parents. That's right, exactly.
What would you say to voters who say, look, Charlie, this is you guys' fault. You know, Congress is meant to pass the laws that govern what happens at the border. You guys could fix it. Why don't you?
Well, I think the administration has a little fault to bear here. Two administrations prior to the current one operated under the same laws, and they didn't have this kind of separation activity to the degree that the Trump administration did.
Not to the degree,
but yeah. Aggressively went at it, being announced by the Attorney General Sessions back in May, I believe it was. And, you know, the fact that they have been so forward and so offensive in the way that they have done this, what we know of is 2,300 children that have been separated. You know, we're reading reports about what happened at Homestead down in South Florida, and initially Senator Nelson not being able to even view the center. Now I'm reading in the press this morning there may be 2 more centers in South Florida housing children we hadn't known about.
I was actually reading the same thing and wanted to ask you about that. I mean, do you have any more information about that, what we're seeing here besides that Homestead facility? Well,
what I've seen is that throughout the country now, it looks like there are 17 different states that are housing children that have been taken in and separated. So the first thing is we have to figure out what the facts actually are. How many of these children have been separated? There was a news account in the New York Times on Friday morning that the administration was preparing for 200,000 children. A front page story. So, you know, we have to wind this thing back. We have to make sure that the children are protected, they're cared for in a humane fashion, in the way that all of us would want our children to be treated.
It does seem like that was kind of a bipartisan reaction this week.
It was. And you know, I think it was the first time, Evan, you've seen a unified bipartisan concern about what the administration had undertaken that was not something that most Americans were comfortable with at all, nor should they be.
Sure. Last question for you. I know you've endorsed Bill Nelson in the Senate race.
Yes, sir.
I know we're not talking so much about endorsements in the governor's race, but I do want to ask you about the money in the race. $80 million raised so far. Now, billionaire Jeff Green is in the race, prepared to spend much more. We saw the same thing happen with Governor Scott, obviously, in 2010. Does it bother you that it seems as though money is the inseparable influence in politics and that you kind of have to be a rich guy to win now?
It appears that way. Certainly, we've seen a lot of these self-funders that get out there and just blanket the airwaves. And, you know, I've witnessed it myself, and it's not fun to see. And so we got to find a way to get all of this heavy, dark money out of politics and get it back to the people and the will of the people. You know, the notion that it takes, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars in a state the size of Florida in order to win a statewide race is just unconscionable. It's incredible.
Yeah, it certainly is a big change from, I believe, the way the founders intended it, but we'll see how that turns out.
No question.
Representative Charlie Crist, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Appreciate you being here.
Pleasure.
We'll be right back, folks.